This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Umudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. President Barrow took time off on Friday from his Easter weekend break to make an unannounced casual visit to the Tangier fish landing site. As Christians in the Gambia commemorate Easter, the Right Reverend Saint Obid Arist Kojo Biden, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the Gambia, says Easter coinciding with Ramadan is a blessing to both the Christian and the Muslim faith. Also, in his Easter message, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, the Most Reverend Bani Ebenezer F. Manga, has preached that Jesus' resurrection is the highest point of his purpose and existence within humanity. And the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, has said Jesus Christ conferred his peace on his disciples too on Easter Sunday when he rose from the dead and appeared in their midst. And in international news, Senegal's top court has officially confirmed opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye as the winner of the March 24th presidential election, securing over 54% of the votes. Those were the news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. President Barrow took time off on Friday from his Easter weekend break to make an unannounced casual visit to the Tangier fish landing site, where he interacted with and bought from fish sellers. Alusise reports.
The fish sellers and onlookers at this popular fish landing site here in Tangier are not just surprised and elated by the unannounced visit, but seeing President Barrow appearing in an informal appearance with little formal protocol and without a noticeable convoy wowed them and attracted the attention of many. President Barrow, like any other fish buyer, could be seen and heard interacting with the fish vendors, mostly women and young people negotiating fish prices. Many visit the Tangier fish landing site to buy fish to resale or for home consumption. The fishing sector and its related activities are lucrative ventures employing thousands of people, both Gambians and non-Gambians. Fish is consumed in most households almost every day, hence its importance to Gambians. This unannounced visit, one of many the president had embarked on, gives him the opportunity to privately interact with the people and probably enjoy the traffic. It is hoped that the visit by the president and the views of those he interacted with will give him a clearer picture and a better understanding of what obtains in the fish market, thereby guiding him in developing his administration policies for this sector. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alusise.
Now, as Christians in the Gambia commemorate Easter, the Right Reverend Saint Obid Arist Kojo Biden, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the Gambia, in his Easter message says, Easter coinciding with Ramadan is a blessing to both the Christian and the Muslim faith. Jenna Basanko tells us more.
Easter is an important religious event in the life of the Church, commemorated by Christians around the world, marking the resurrection of Christ. For Christians, Easter presents a moment for sharing and showing love and compassion towards one another. The Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of the Gambia, the Right Reverend Obid Arist Kojo Biden, spoke about how Muslims and Christians live in harmony in the Gambia.
On Good Friday, many Muslims would have broken their fast with servants of Nanburu, provided by their Christian friends and neighbors. And in a couple of months on the Feast of Tobaski, Muslims will return this gesture and send gifts of mutton to their Christian friends and neighbors. None of this unique blend of religious tolerance and harmony would be taken for granted, as it has come under threat in so many other countries.
Bishop Biden calls on Christians to keep reminding themselves of the story of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, as it is the main and central theme for the good news of Jesus, adding that the resurrection is the fundamental pillar upon which faith is grounded. How did the story of the resurrection begin?
The resurrection narrative from the Gospel of St. Mark begins with the story of the woman going to the tomb very early in the morning. This scene highlights the deep devotion and loyalty that these women had to Jesus, so much so that even in death, Jesus remained their Lord and Savior.
Bishop Biden highlighted Jesus Christ's excellent servant leadership traits that all leaders should emulate around the world. All three mainstream churches held a service earlier this week where they also demonstrated servant leadership before their congregation, further inspiring the flock they serve.
This Easter, we are further reminded of our duty as Christians to go out to proclaim the good news of the resurrection, that Jesus Christ, the Savior, is risen from the dead, and that mankind's sins have been forgiven. We are to tell the story over and over again and live out its message of forgiveness, particularly to those who have hurt us or done us wrong.
Have you ever wondered why people use eggs as a symbol during Easter? Eggs represent new life and rebirth, and it's thought that this ancient custom became a part of Easter celebrations. Just as Jesus rose from the tomb, the egg symbolized new life emerging from the eggshell. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Sonko.
The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, the Most Reverend Bani Ebenezer F. Manga, has preached that Jesus' resurrection is the highest point of his purpose and existence within humanity. He made these remarks as part of his Easter message to Christians. Julden Jai has more.
Easter is a Christian festival and cultural holiday commemorating the resurrection of Jesus, described in the New Testament as having occurred on the third day of his burial following his crucifixion by the Romans at Calvary. After blessedly observing the month of Lent, Christians in the Gambia are celebrating the resurrection of Christ. The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, Reverend Bani Ebenezer F. Manga, elaborates.
In the Christological hymn of Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 to 11, the resurrection of Jesus defines the humiliation exaltation pattern that St. Paul seeks to depict to the people of Philippi. The resurrection, therefore, becomes the goal or greatest achievement of Jesus. He wakes up from the grave and beams light even in the darkness of death and hopelessness. Thus understood, the question is, what is the resurrection? The resurrection is not a wake-up from the grave, or as some allude, a wake-up from some deep sleep or coma. It is not a transfiguration of a person from the cross to an unknown location that can be verified. It is not an illusion of some disciples who wanted to make a name for themselves, as some scholars will want to suggest. The resurrection is an actual event that was encountered by the disciples and witnessed by all who lived in the first century.
Easter is the joyful end of the Lenten season of fasting and penitence. The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia also spoke about the implications of resurrection for people of faith in the 21st century.
As a believer of the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, we are a renewed people for a better perspective of and to life. It means, therefore, that we cannot continue to view life from a past colonial or myopic or narrow perspective. We are renewed to look at life from a broader and better perspective. Jesus calls it life in its fullness. John chapter 10, verse 10. Second, we are called to actively participate in the purpose of God. God intends that human beings will take care and subdue the earth. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. With sin and the fall of humanity, we miss that perspective. However, in the resurrection and its celebration, we are called to soberly reflect on ways we can participate in making this world a better place for all.
The presiding bishop declares that for people of faith, Easter means that our hope in God is sustained.
It also means, in the words of the hymns, that Jesus still leads on till our rest be won. And although the way be cheerless, we will follow calm and fearless. Guide us by thine hand to our fatherland. Methodist hymn numbered 626, stanza 1.
The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia prays for God to bless us, keep us in peace, love and unity. For QTV News, I am Julde Jai.
Also in his Easter message, the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, has said Jesus Christ conferred his peace on his disciples too on Easter Sunday when he rose from the dead and appeared in their midst. Julden Jai again.
The peace and joy the risen Christ conferred on his disciples and our world is clearly noted in the Gospels and the Easter liturgy of the Church. The evangelists consistently observed that the disciples experienced peace and joy when the risen Christ appeared in their midst on the first day of Easter and after his resurrection.
The Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, also preached about how the peace and joy of the risen Christ renews and changes our world today.
The Church clearly acknowledges the cosmic and universal impact of Christ's resurrection in the Exultet and the Easter preface. It says, "Rejoice, O heavenly powers, sing choirs of angels, exalt all creation around God's throne. Jesus Christ, our King, is risen. Sound the trumpet of salvation. Be glad, let earth be glad, as glory floods her, radiant in the brightness of your King. Let all corners of the earth be glad, knowing an end to gloom and darkness." So the Church fully affirms the impact of the risen Christ's peace and joy on the heavens and the earth before it calls on Mother Church to rejoice in its Easter proclamation.
The Most Reverend Bishop Mendy also spoke of the impact of the resurrection of Jesus.
His resurrection and appearance has restored our lives, and his victory over the forces of evil has reconciled humanity with God and redeemed our world from eternal damnation. Every living creature on earth consequently has a cause and a reason to rejoice and be glad. For Christ has conquered our fears of evil and death and offered us his peace and joy that the world cannot offer us. So we should not only be grateful to God for raising Jesus from the dead, we should also celebrate his resurrection at Easter with a better understanding of its meaning and impact on us and our world. If we are filled with the peace and joy of the risen Christ, and if we are renewed by his gifts and blessings, we should equally be inspired and motivated to be agents of his peace and joy in our world today.
Bishop Mendy concluded by wishing believers of the Muslim community and believers of other faiths, Gambians at home and abroad, a blessed and peaceful Easter. For QTV News, I am Julden Yai.
From that report, now we will take a commercial break, and when we return, we'll still have some more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Gambia is proud to host the 15th OIC Summit on the 4th and 5th May 2024, the second largest gathering of world leaders, kings, presidents, rulers, prime ministers, along with delegates from 57 member countries of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will gather in our beloved nation for this historic event. The theme of the summit is enhancing unity and solidarity through dialogue for sustainable development. It's a platform to foster cooperation, promote peace and drive sustainable development across the Ummah and the world at large. We call on all Gambians to unite and support the government as it strives to host a memorable and successful event. Let's showcase our hospitality, culture and the beauty of the Gambia to the world. Join us in making history. Let's stand together, united as one, to ensure the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia is an event to remember. Together, we can make a difference.
The art of juggling is a true spectacle of agility, coordination, and speed. a symbol of progression, precision, and mastery. "5G speed is like having the juggler in your pocket. With lightning-fast download and upload speeds, you'll easily be able to juggle even the busiest workdays. Whether you're a busy entrepreneur, a creative, or just someone who wants to stay connected, juggle your tasks with ease with QCell 5G speed. The future is here. It's fast, reliable, and efficient. First brought to you by QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is QTV News. A boat carrying 55 suspected migrants were intercepted by the Gambia Immigration Department in the coastal town of Tanje in the West Coast region. The Europe-bound migrants are said to have set off from Senegal and used Gambia as a transit point. Ansumana Esonyasi was in Tanje and he now tells us more.
Having converged in Janna, a coastal village in Casamas in southern Senegal, these suspected Europe-bound migrants had identified Tanje as their main transit point before setting off on their perilous 1,650-kilometer journey by boat to the Canary Islands. 4 of these 55 suspects are women of different nationalities. Surprisingly, and for the first time, at least 3 Bangladeshi citizens are part of the group. Mohamed Ba is Deputy PRO of the Gambia Immigration Department. He explains how GID officers managed to intercept them in Tanje as they were about to embark on this next leg of their journey.
55 would-be migrants were intercepted in Katong last night around 2 a.m. These people, among the 55, we have 30 Senegalese, we have 20 Gambians, 3 from Bangladesh, and 2 from Guinea-Bissau. So this makes the number 55. So right now we are hosting them at the Migration Management Center here in Tanje for further investigation. What we know about these people is that they paid almost $50,000 each. That is the Senegalese nationals, and the Gambian nationals paid also $50,000. Or some of them also paid $40,000.
Mr. Ba warned people smugglers that the Immigration Department will not relent in pursuing them, and that anyone caught attempting to smuggle people for such risky journeys will be prosecuted.
3 among them are suspected, smugglers. They are the one behind the scenes. So the main man is still at large, but the 3 that are helping us in our investigations are with us. So our advice to the general public is we need cooperation on this because this is about lives.
Imploring young people against embarking on such risky journeys, Deputy Piero Ba says irregular migration to Europe, especially by boat, has claimed many lives over the years.
Our advice is, as the season starts, this is the season that most of them, they will want to, use this, dangerous journey. So Gambians should cooperate, and we see that, this journey is not a havoc to our country. So we should try and stop it. Our area in immigration is very simple. That is, we are advocating for safe, regular, and order migration. We are not against migration in any form, but we are advocating for safe, regular, and order migration. So anything that is not in line with these 3 principles, we are against it.
Last year, the Immigration Department intercepted a record 27 Europe-bound boats at different places in the Gambia. However, if anything, this latest arrest indicates that more needs to be done to curb irregular migration, which remains a challenge across the continent. Ansumana Esonyasi for QTV News.
Now, bread, mburu, is a staple in many cultures in the Gambia. Muslims break their fast at sunset with a meal, and bread is usually a part of this meal. Our regional correspondent Bakari Balde engaged some bread bakers and consumers in the Lower River region. And now, this is his report.
In many Muslim cultures, traditionally, bread is served with a variety of dishes, including soup, stews, fish and meat. In the Gambia, during Ramadan, the demand for bread is high as it is consumed by many families. Sereng Abduseka, is the president of Jarasoma Bread Bakers Association.
As bakers, we don't have a flour mixer, and that is very challenging. Having a mixer will stop us using our hands to mix our flour because it will do the job for us. We just have to connect the mixer to the electricity supply. There are 16 people working for me in this bakery.
Ramadan is also a busy time for bakers who try to make extra money. Sering Abdul Seka says the challenges for bakers during Ramadan are numerous.
People think we are making a lot of money, but this is the time some bakers run at loss. Baking during Ramadan is difficult. A lot of vendors come to take bread to sell in the market, so one has to be very careful.
Ngany Demba Sokna, also a baker in Jarasoma for 2 decades, says baking is a tedious venture and the profit is not as lucrative as some people think.
People think during Ramadan is when bakers make a lot of money. That's not the case because the materials are expensive. Firewood, salt, and baking powder are all expensive. Even to pay the workers is expensive. So the bakers should be careful and limit the amount of bread they bake to avoid wastage. If you fail to sell 20 loaves of bread when you bake a bag of flour, then you have made no profit.
Samba Boy, a health expert and bread consumer, had this to say.
They are energy-giving food, and bread is one of the sources of carbohydrate. So for this reason, I think not only me, but most of the people that consume bread consume it for the reason that they want to restore the energy that they lost during the period of fasting during the day.
Bread, especially wholemeal bread or toast, is among recommended healthy foods to be eaten at the beginning or ending the fast, as long as it is consumed as part of a moderate and balanced meal. Bakari Balde, QTV News.
Now from bread to international news. Senegal's top court has officially confirmed opposition candidate Diomaye Faye as the winner of the delayed March 24th presidential election, securing over 54% of the votes in the first round based on vote tallies from 100% of polling stations. Lena Igwenyiba reports.
Senegal's Constitutional Council has validated the victory of opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye in the presidential election. The confirmation came after the council reviewed provisional results, which showed Faye winning with 54.28% of the total votes cast. Faye, who ran under the opposition coalition Diomaye President, secured a victory in the first round, avoiding the need for a runoff. Faye's closest rival Amadou Ba of the ruling coalition received 35.79% of the votes, while Aliou Mamadou Dia came in third with 2.8%. The election saw a turnout of 61.3%, slightly lower than the previous election in 2019, but higher than in 2012. Faye, at 44 years old, will become his country's fifth and the youngest president in Senegal's history, and the first opposition candidate to win in the first round since independence. In addition, he is the youngest ever elected president in Africa. The others who are younger all came to power via coup d'etats. The election was preceded by violent protests sparked by arrest of Ousmane Sonko and President Sall's attempt to delay the vote. However, Sall's acknowledgement of Faye's victory and Ba's concession have paved the way for a peaceful transition of power. Since the confirmation of the victory, Faye and his political mentor and president of their dissolved party, PASTEF, have paid a visit to President Sall at the presidential palace and taken part in his first official debriefing session. The inauguration is scheduled to take place in Diamniadio, followed by a handover of power at the presidential palace in Dakar from outgoing President Macky Sall, who will officially leave office on the 2nd of April. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
Now, before we end this news bulletin, here is a recap of our main news headlines. President Barrow took time off on Friday from his Easter weekend break to make an unannounced casual visit to the Tangier fish landing site. As Christians in the Gambia commemorate Easter, the Right Reverend Saint Obid Arist Kojo Biden, Bishop of the Anglican Diocese of Gambia, says Easter coinciding with Ramadan is a blessing for both the Christian and the Muslim faith. Also in his Easter message, the presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church of the Gambia, the Most Reverend Bani Ebenezer F. Manga, has preached that Jesus' resurrection is the highest point of his purpose and existence within humanity. And the Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Banjul, the Most Reverend Dr. Gabriel Mendy, has said Jesus Christ conferred his peace on his disciples too on Easter Sunday when he rose from the dead and appeared in their midst. In international news, Senegal's top court has officially confirmed opposition candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye as the winner of the March 24th presidential election, securing over 54% of the votes. Well, that's all in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching. Join Adedarami and Momodou Mbodj tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the Week in Review program. Thank you very much and have a lovely Sunday. All the best. Bye.